And we're here on this beautiful Wednesday evening, January 29th. It's our first weekend, if you count college football, since August, right? That there's no football happening. I mean, there's the Pro Bowl if you're interested in that, but
Senior Bowl on Saturday.
Senior Bowl and all that stuff, but
can't escape it.
No. Yeah, someone was talking about it. One of I think it was Debo. I heard maybe on the Amon Ra St. Brown podcast, and saying you lose the Super Bowl and then it's like you're kind of back at it 3-4 weeks later, going through contract crap or getting ready for the season. So David's here. David, we're reviewing his team today. How's it going? So
what's up, David?
Yeah, we got two teams to check out today. We'll answer some questions if you guys aren't getting your teams reviewed and just have some Dynasty questions. Probably get to it after the team reviews, unless you want to be generous and send a super chat, and we'll kind of get right to it. And yeah, I guess we'll just jump right into it. We got two teams, like I said. One of them is the first one is the Rolls. Hopefully he's here. I know he said he was going to join us. So let me pull that up for you. We got two very different teams today, and it's kind of nice. We've had a lot of different styles and formats. So the first one, the Rolls team, is an 8-team start 20. So that's insane.
Wait, is he here yet?
I think he might be. If he's not, maybe we should start with David's then.
Yeah, I was going to say, why don't we start with David's if the roll's not here? Then we can get to him second.
Yeah. We'll give it another minute or so, see if he pops in. But yeah, his is an 8-team start 20. So you're starting 160 players are being, not you, but across the league. So what is that? A 12-team start 13 roughly? 13 and a half, 13.1, something like that. So shows you how deep it is. And then the other one, David's, is a 10-team start 8. So we're literally starting half the amount of players, 80 players. So it's a lot of fun. There's no right or wrong way to play Dynasty as long as you have fun with it. And we're going to start with David's team then. And we're going to get right into it. I'm going to start by sharing the wins above replacement. You guys know we like to talk about these wins above replacements here. Just making sure I have the right one here. And for this one quarterback start 10, sorry, I'm just trying to pull up the correct one here. I think I got it here. Yeah, this should be it. The 10-team start, or was it? Sorry, yeah, 10-team start 8 is what I meant to say. Very shallow, very, very shallow league, and you kind of see that reflected in this WAR. Again, what is WAR? It's basically like in baseball, the wins above replacement, how valuable players are above replacement level players. So, for example, how much more valuable is Lamar Jackson compared to the QB 13 each week? He's basically worth a full win per season than the QB 13 every single week. So you can see here, and this is kind of how it goes. He does have kicker and defenses. I took that off, but it's wide receivers and running backs. Wide receivers and running backs are where you want to be. And they're basically relatively even across the board. Running backs, because it was a better running back year, are slightly more valuable until they kind of cross over in that RB and wide receiver 15 area. But there you can see how much more valuable they are than the quarterbacks. Even Lamar Jackson, he was basically equivalent to the RB8, RB9, and the wide receiver 3. So basically this league, you want, like people call them in the Dynasty community, you want hammers, right? You want the guys that are just absolutely putting up ridiculous numbers. So I want to point this out because you'll see kind of a good juxtaposition of the deeper league. So Jamar Chase, wide receiver 1, is worth 1.86 wins above replacement, Wide receiver 2, 0.39. So a huge difference there, a game and a half essentially more valuable. And you're going to see in the deeper leagues that it's a lot closer. So one team has most of them. Yeah, I kind of noticed that there's kind of one team that does have them. So no tight end premium, I don't believe. Just pretty standard PPR start 8. So
Hey, are you guys getting ads pop up on your screen?
yeah, you're
Yeah.
talking about screen I'm sharing.
Oh yeah, okay. I was
Yeah.
trying to click it off and I'd never seen an ad.
No, that's on my screen. On my
Oh,
end,
okay.
so, but anyways, let's check out
So
David's
go
team
back
here.
to what you said. You said shallower leagues, maybe more running back, wide receiver important.
Well, this is a one quarterback, so that's why the running backs and wide receivers are way more valuable. So it's a one quarterback, but in general, shallower leagues, you want the top guys. If you don't have this group of guys, from James Cook RB10 up, or like Mike Evans, Terry McLaurin, you need to have multiple of those guys. Of course, this is not predictive. We don't know who's going to be the RB7, wide receiver 7 next year, but we basically want like top 7 at the position. So let me share David's team here. So he has Caleb Williams, Trevor Lawrence, Bryce Young. So a lot of quarterbacks, but it is a one quarterback league. Running backs: Chase Brown, Tyrone Tracy, Joe Mixon, Garrett Wilson, Addison, Jameson Williams, Jalen McMillan, Tucker Kraft. So I guess, Brian, you can start. Overall thoughts on the team. Looks like he went 5-9 last year. Overall thoughts on this team here.
Well, first, one of the questions that I have for David, I guess I can kind of figure it out from record, but it'll be easier if he just tells us like what pick he has in the draft overall. I'm kind of curious about that. And I think kind of what you pointed out, especially in one quarterback league, it's kind of interesting. Like a lot of guys still have, 4 or 5 quarterbacks, and it's like, I don't know if you really need that. Well, I know that you don't need that, everyone's got multiple quarterbacks. Like all you really need is, 2 or maybe 3 at the most to give yourself like a little cushion there.
Mm-hmm.
But we can see from their scoring, it not necessarily their scoring, but I mean, it like you kind of have to play this a little closer to like you would a regular redraft league in that sense, where it's like, yeah, the top quarterbacks matter, but that can be somewhat hard to predict year over year, unless you have one of those, like, no doubt about it, you're just starting them every week, like a Josh Allen or Lamar.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's kind of interesting. The point that you made as far as it is all wide receivers and 103. Okay. It is all wide receivers and running backs, So that's definitely the advice. There is no tight end premium in this either, right?
No tight end premium.
Sheet. Yeah, so even those guys, I mean, you can see from the war tool also. It's like they're just not making a difference. Mm-hmm. So you can kind of use that information going forward when it comes to like drafting some of these guys. It's like you really want to take as many day 1 and day 2 running back receivers more than running backs. But yeah, mixing those running backs, like sprinkle them in,
Yeah, for sure. The tight ends don't mean much. Quarterbacks outside of like the guy who's going to finish at the top doesn't really mean a whole lot either. So I don't know. I guess when we're looking at it, like what are his hammer smash pieces? I don't see a lot, which is, a big reason why he went 5-9, right? And he compared them to this guy's team, the Israeli Defense Force. Lamar Jackson, Bijan, CeeDee Lamb, Kyron, Puka, Amon-Ra, like Trey McBride. That's why this guy dominated, because he just has all those difference makers. He has those guys that we need. So do we see any of those there, Dad? I mean, when you're looking at his team, as of right now, I mean, there's guys that can turn into it, right? Like a Caleb, maybe Garrett Wilson, if he gets the right quarterback. He didn't win the chip. That kind of sucks.
Yeah, I
just had that bad week.
I see a lot of upper tier players, but I know you use the word hammer, and I'm not sure if I see a hammer there, and I guess I don't understand why Jamison Williams is below Jordan Addison but anyway.
They're basically in the same tier.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And that's the big thing. Like those guys, like they're, we think they're nice to have, but when we play in these shallower leagues, unless you have, multiple guys like a Bijan, a CeeDee Lamb, Lamar Jackson, these guys aren't really doing it for you, So they're nice supplemental pieces when you have all those other guys. So what we want to do is basically put a bunch of guys together in a trade to get one of those hammers, multiple guys. I'll give you Addison and Jamison and Tyrone Tracy for, one of those top 5 receivers or running backs, or maybe one of the top quarterbacks if possible. I'll kind of sell high if people are valuing Tucker Kraft. And David, you can tell us, like, do people kind of, how do they approach this league? Do they kind of make these trades where, for example, one guy's giving up 1 piece and getting back 3 pieces? Are they open to making those trades? Because if they are, then you can take advantage of that. Because people are going to see, like, because when people talk dynasty content in general, or you put it into a trade calculator and you throw in, like, again, Addison, Jamison, Tyrone Tracy for one guy, it's always going to favor the 3 players. But in this league with this shallow starters, you don't really care about those guys. You just need literally 2 to 4 guys that are winning you each week. So people are open.
One thing
extremely stubborn. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say one thing to point out, Mike. I don't know if you've ever looked at this, but you can actually see all the transactions that the teams have made, like not the specific ones, but you can see the number. And it looks like he has a decently active league in general. Like everyone made, I don't know if this is just last year or it can't be overall. I guess that's another good question, is how long has the league been running? Like maybe we should start asking people that just to get a feel for it. But I mean,
it looks pretty even. So I'm going to guess, I think he said it was early, and I'm going to guess like it's a pretty young league as well.
2 seasons, he says.
2 seasons. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Well, because I'm just looking at like you can see under standings, you can see the transactions per team, and they just have trades and waivers, and everyone's made trades. The lowest one being only making 3, a couple of teams. But David, it looks like you've been pretty active in general.
Yeah.
He's got 13 trades, and so yeah, that's good that you have a lot of active members, and it's okay if they are what do you call them, stubborn.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, he's been trying to make trades. He had a horrible startup, he says. I look at the trust the process guy at the very bottom hanging with Hernandez. And I see Christian McCaffrey there. Yeah. He's definitely someone, like, if you're trying to compete, which again, like if we're looking on the bright side, like Caleb or Trevor Lawrence, can they be top 7 quarterbacks? I bet you one of those guys, there's a good chance one of those guys is going to be top 7. Chase Brown, can he be a top 12 running back? I mean, he was basically last year. He was even better than that when he finally took over. So that could be a good piece for you. Mixon could have another good year. The wide receivers I'm not super optimistic about in terms of being those difference makers, just because we need a quarterback for Garrett Wilson and Addison and Jameson. They're nice players, but they're more wide receiver 2/3s. He says he wants 2 firsts and someone like Tyrone Tracy for CMC. He can't do that. Can you give him like Tyrone Tracy and either Addison and Jameson, and you don't have your second round pick, but even like a Jonathan Brooks or another young player like that for him? I mean, he's rebuilding, so he should be a little bit more open to that. Like, can you do something like that? I agree. I don't necessarily want to trade maybe that much for him, especially the 103 and Tyrone and another first.
No,
yeah,
you might as well just draft your picks at that point.
Yeah. But yeah, can I do like Tracy and, Addison and William? Like, I would do Tracy and Addison and Williams, for McCaffrey if I feel like I want to compete. But then you're probably going to need to add another piece. So you don't want to necessarily ideally you want to get like a young-ish piece that can be that difference maker.
I mean, the nice thing is because the league is relatively flat in terms of the values according to this, it's like you might want to just think about trading away, maybe I know you mentioned in the last video, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
As far as maybe you be the first guy to just kind of bow out for the season and act like early, try and get something for some of these older guys, pick up and try and create value through it's going to be backup running backs basically in this league. You're probably not going to get a whole lot for these receivers that step in and have good games. And I doubt tight ends also. I don't know. I guess it depends on how savvy these other guys are. We're savvy or stubborn, I guess, but the backup quarterback thing, that's probably not going to be that's not going to be a viable strategy, which is always a good one to try and create value. So yeah,
and I get it. Giving up, I definitely wouldn't give up all of that. But one thing I'll say, and I'm not saying you should trade all this for CMC. Go with the guys that you feel comfortable trading with, but you have to keep it in your mind that what seems like an overpay is probably not an overpay in this league. And again, you check all the trade calculators out there, and you listen to other content, and they don't take into account a lot of times the how many you're actually starting when you're only 80 players are being started each week, and a guy has this team has the number 1 quarterback, a top 3 running back, a top 5 wide receiver, 2 top 5 receivers, maybe 3 top 5 receivers, top 7 receivers, a top 2 tight end. You're talking about this guy has 5 or 6 of the guys in that in the top maybe 15 of the 80 that are being started. That's why he's going to do well. I know he didn't win the championship. It still comes down to luck and stuff like that. So trade targets. You mentioned Drake London. I'm good with targeting Drake London and throwing, a bunch of those secondary auxiliary pieces to get London. You're obviously still going to need some of those guys, but you have a bunch of them. Chase Brown, Tracy, Mixon, Jameson. We'll see what McMillan turns into. Even Devontae Adams, can we get one more year out of him? Addison will you have a bunch of pieces to where you can do this 2 or 3 assets for one guy. So yeah, Drake London is someone that I would definitely be targeting. I mean, again, just kind of look at the list of the guys that are in that top 5 to 7 for wide receivers and running backs. Obviously, Gibbs, Bijan, Saquon will be awesome. Achane what do you guys think? Do you still believe in like Breece Hall as like a valuable asset in a league like this, or is that more of a risk?
It's a little risky, but he can. I think he can turn it around. I just don't know. I just feel like he's kind of just going to be stuck on the Jets and be kind of wasted. You know, like there's a lot of question marks. Obviously, that can pay off, but I'd say like probability is against him. But I mean, why don't I guess it really depends, David, if you're gonna. So okay, here's a question: how many people make the playoffs in this league? Is it 4, 5, or 6?
Or 8?
Because it's only a 10 team, and so it always gets a little funky when there's 10 teams involved.
Yeah.
6. Okay. All right.
Maybe.
So that actually, like, that makes it a little bit. That makes it better because obviously, like, once you get in the playoffs, there's not a whole lot left to do. You know, I mean, there is but at that point, you kind of you still got to set your lineups properly and everything, but your guys are your guys at that point. So
yeah,
so that's not so bad.
And again, if you kind of go back and look at, again, just sharing like the wins above replacement here, and then when we talk about you throwing a bunch of pieces and kind of overpaying for guys, even though it seems like an overpay, you just look at the difference between Cooper Kupp here and wide receiver 35. There's less than a fifth of a game difference or something. That's putting you in the win column. Not even half a game, not even a quarter of a game, and so I guess the logic is the difference between wide receiver 24 and wide receiver 35 is not really doing much, and so do we see guys like Addison and Jameson being able to finish as top 12, really top 12 guys, and they just don't really see it, unfortunately. And so that's why, it seems like an overpay, but if you're doing it for the right guy, I think you're winning that trade. Go ahead.
Yeah. And I think youth can be a little overrated sometimes too, especially in a league that is so shallow like this. Like people might want to get off of, I was looking at, was it Baby Back Gibbs? No. But someone has AJ Brown. Oh, it's that same guy that has Drake London. It's why not look? He's on Drake and Josh London. I think he's a good trade target because he's coming off a somewhat down year. He's talented. He's got multiple years left tied to a good offense.
Yeah.
So maybe he's someone that you can get off of this team. I don't know, maybe something like that. Like getting older players that can produce at elite levels. That might be a good way to maneuver through this league, offer, Tyrone Tracy and even McMillan, package those guys and see if you can get someone like that.
Yeah. What are you feeling about Marvin Harrison? Do you think he's going to come kind of that difference maker?
Yeah, I think it's too late, or I'm sorry, too early to be throwing them away. I mean, there was obviously a huge hype train about him last year, generational this and can't miss that and everything else. And, is he going to be like Garrett Wilson, where you look at his numbers at the end of the year and you go, wow, he was a 1,200 yard receiver and caught 90 passes, but it just, you're looking for something dominating. You're looking for Jamar Chase, type stuff, and hasn't quite happened. And maybe it's because the quarterback, the offense. But it's too early to be throwing them to the scrap heap.
What about Waddle?
I think he might
be a good target.
thinking about trying to move him.
Are you
You're saying
acquire
move off of him?
Yeah, I would consider moving off of him.
Oh,
Yes.
no, he doesn't have Waddle. I'm saying to acquire him. I'm just trying to think of guys that, like, if these guys are that stubborn, you kind of have to look at guys that maybe people are getting a little down on, I guess.
Yeah, so basically those guys that are outside of like the top tier guys that maybe you can get into that top tier. Yeah, Waddle does feel a little bit like that. I think he has a little bit more upside than those guys, but
Yeah, and who knows
does
how
kinda
much
feel that
longer
way.
Tyreek's going to play for the Dolphins. We could have seen his last game already, but I
Mhm.
think Waddle has, like, he's that level of player, or like we saw it in his rookie year, the potential, and then he had a great second year, right? Didn't he finish
Yeah.
as like wide receiver 7 or something like that?
Yeah, yeah. I think he has
Yeah,
potential to get there. I don't mind going for Waddle. Um, just yeah, if everything goes right and the Dolphins are more like the 2023 Dolphins, for sure. He might be a little bit easier to get. George Kittle, he mentioned, don't mind going after him because this guy also has Brock Bowers, so he might be willing to move off of him. He finished 6-8, so he could probably use. He might be willing to move off of Kittle, who's kind of, the one he's up there with. You kind of need the top 3 tight ends, and Kittle, it just seemingly finishes there every single year. That guy with the bye week guy who you said Harrison's untouchable. He does have some other pieces that are intriguing. Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor. T. Higgins is like a sneaky one to where like I could see T. Higgins, if he's healthy, being a top 12 receiver, whether he's on the Bengals or maybe he becomes the wide receiver 1 for a team. And he might be kind of easier to get. Again, if these guys are a little bit stubborn. You mentioned Drake London. The only issue with Drake London is he's on a team that went 10-4, has Jaden Daniels and AJ Brown and Laporta and Kenneth Walker or something. Maybe you could do something where you trade like Tracy and one of your receivers that we're talking about, Addison or Jameson, and then maybe even like, some kind of pick or something to get a Drake London because, maybe he'll take something like that. But definitely London's one of those guys. I mean, Nico Collins. Rashee Rice is an interesting one. I think people are a little bit more down on them. Yeah, did you toss any trades around there, David, just to get a feel for like what, I don't know, people how they value T. Higgins? Did you guys even talk like potential trades there? He's okay, yeah. So Kittle might be a pretty good target to go after. That I wouldn't mind to kind of upgrade your tight end position. But yeah, Rashee Rice, Roma Dunze is another one. I don't know what team he's on, but if they're not valuing him properly, I'm just thinking of guys that are more like in that 15 to 24-ish range that I think could finish as top 12 guys and really increase in value. DJ Moore, I think, is a little undervalued right now. He's another guy where like if Caleb puts it together, they could be really good with Ben Johnson. And like I could see DJ Moore easily having a top 12 season this year. So talking about guys outside of like, obviously you want Brian Thomas or Puka or Nico or Amon-Ra, but again, it seems like it might be kind of hard to get those guys. My 26 first plus something small for T, but he wanted to wait a little. Yeah, I mean, as we get closer to the rookie drafts, people are going to value these picks. We start getting names attached to the picks, Omarion Hampton or Tet McMillan or something. And that was, yeah, I mean, this team, if he's kind of, I don't know, if he's 4-10 and doesn't want to compete, like if you offered him, let's just say your 103 is Tet McMillan and another piece, he might be willing to take that. And I'd be happy to do that for sure.
You said his 26 first.
I was 26 first. Okay.
Yeah.
Even then though, yeah, I wouldn't mind that. But yeah.
Yeah, maybe you can get him because he's the guy with Waddle also. Mm-hmm. I don't know. if you're not into him, that's fine, David. But I think that not giving that up for Waddle, but maybe trying to get those two guys for some of your younger pieces. If he is willing to go into rebuild, if that's what it sounds like, you've got Jonathan Brooks and Tyrone Tracy, which I don't know. I don't know how to feel about Tracy. I think he's slightly inflated in value because I just don't know how good the Giants are going to be just in general. I mean, we've seen it for years. There's just a lot of question marks there. And he was like a 5th round pick. So if you're looking for pieces now kind of a thing, I mean, he could be one of those guys, but I don't necessarily see him as like a true difference maker.
Yeah. Who has Tyreek Hill? Give it 20 for Brooks. Yeah, Brooks seems to be dead right now. Tyreek Hill is another one. Like his value is way, way down. I know he's 30 years old. And again, this is assuming you want to compete. If you want to kind of rebuild a little bit, like, I would be selling high on Brown and Tracy. Obviously Mixon as well, but Mixon you might have to wait until the season gets going. And kind of all your guys are really up for sale. But I think you can compete. What would I give for Tyreek? It's tough. But not really knowing the league and stuff like that. But who has them? Have you found it?
Israeli Defense Force.
Oh, geez. I mean, he might be willing to because, like, you just look at all the names ahead of Tyreek. So he might be, he needs some draft capital potentially. What would you trade for him? I mean, I don't know if he's going to take like Addison or Jameson plus something. Does he want? Man, he has a good team. He doesn't really need anything is the problem. Doesn't really. I don't want to do my 103 just because asking him about Brees and Tyreek. Yeah, I'd be much more willing. I still kind of believe in Brees and like him being. I think he could have, like, if he gets to the right team or the right situation, could have that Saquon CMC like year, like just like Saquon getting on a new team.
Yeah, this is the last year of his deal too, isn't it?
Yeah, so he could be moving on again. That doesn't help you this coming year. Yeah, it's tough to know because I don't want to do my 103 for Tyreek. I don't know if he's going to take any. I mean, if he takes like a combination of like an Addison and a Tracy and like your third or your 2026 second or something, I wouldn't mind doing that again. Like it's a risk because Tyreek is 30 years old. So I also don't necessarily think you should do it if you're not feeling comfortable with Tyreek Hill. It's tough because he's on that one of the better teams. So he might be a little bit hard to get, to be honest. Where is Nico? Did we see Nico anywhere?
No, I wasn't really looking for him though. Oh,
you
can search player right here. I didn't even notice that.
He's on Zach's team.
Zach's team.
Zach Hurts. He has a pretty good team. Yeah, ask Zach about Rashee Rice because he does have a lot of good receivers. Yeah, I agree there. He has a lot of good receivers. So he's Brian Thomas, Nico Collins, Lad McConkey, even Terry McLaurin, DK Metcalf. Like, yes, he's stacked at receiver. So, like, see if maybe he's feeling a little bit lower on, like, a guy like Rice. Maybe he could replenish his running back room a little bit. So a guy like a Tracy and a Jameson or something, and then throw in, a later round pick. Would he do that for Rashee Rice? I don't know how he's feeling about him. Ask about Rice there. So it's basically any of the top like 7 to 10 guys, maybe 7 to 12 guys you want. And then guys kind of outside that range that might be easier to get. Rashee Rice, T. Higgins, Roma Dunze, Jalen Waddle, we kind of like still. Terry McLaurin, I still like for next year. DJ Moore, Ayuk is another one. It's coming off an ACL, but those are guys kind of deeper down the list a bit. How are we feeling, Dad? How are you feeling about Chris Olave? Is he just going to be stuck in that wide receiver 2 kind of range?
Yeah, I don't see. I guess I don't see, even though he's kind of the man in New Orleans, I just don't see it. A little changing of the guard with new coaches and stuff like that, and I don't know. I don't know if you're going to get anything better
right?
than.
Aren't they the only team without a coach? Saints? Are the Saints the only team without a head coach right now?
Yeah, they say Kellen Moore is what's going to happen, but
okay, might be interesting. If I could buy low on Olave, I don't mind it because I still think he has that potential. But again, it's like he has Derek Carr, and it's not super bright of a future there. Yeah.
When we were looking at Olave this last offseason, didn't we figure out like he's never finished top 5 in a single week?
Yeah, I think that's right.
So
yeah, I sold way too many bets for me. Don't let your heart get into it, David. No, I understand. No, I agree. He feels like the DJ Moore kind of career path. Terry McLaurin before what's his face? Jaden Daniels got there, right? Like he feels like that kind of player. Like we know he's good. So Devontae Smith is another guy. Like surprisingly, Jalen Hurts threw for 2,900 yards and 18 touchdowns, and Devontae Smith was still like wide receiver 17 points per game. I know that's not quite what we're looking for, and I don't really see that situation getting better. But he's another guy where like we know he's good. Yeah. That was fun. We were kind of just talking about that. State of the world is dire, but the Dynasty teams is better with your guidance. Appreciate you. It's a little bit of an escape there. So yeah, I mean, David, it comes down to like you got to get, because you don't have any of these, really anyone in the top 10 at any position, right? Maybe, I mean, Tucker Kraft technically, but beyond like the top 3 tight ends, it's not really much of a difference here. I think Caleb could possibly be a difference maker, because he deals you a little bit on the ground. I like Chase Brown for this year. I think the Bengals, although I see the Bengals mocked to keep grabbing a running back in this draft, but I don't know. They have a lot of other holes to fill. Garrett Wilson needs the quarterback. Like you have a lot of players like we know are good. It's just like, damn, get a quarterback for Garrett Wilson. Jordan Addison, if Justin Jefferson wasn't there, and he's going to have probably a first-year starter. So yeah, some of the guys in the top 7, the guys that we mentioned kind of outside there that might be easier to get that could finish in that top 12. Running backs out of that range, I mean, there's always going to be a buy low opportunity for older guys. Alvin Kamara, James Conner, if you can get them relatively cheap. How are we feeling about ETN with Liam Cohen going there? Do we think he's going to turn ETN into something?
He might.
I don't know.
Considering, he turned around the Buccaneers running game.
Yeah.
With Bucky Irving, and even Rachaad White,
Rachaad White was still good, yeah. I mean, for what he was. Yeah, it's always a risk though, because you don't know if like that's his guy, that's gonna
right,
be there.
Jalen could be Tank Bixby,
Yeah, I mean, again, we're talking about like buying low, and these guys. Aaron Jones is all the way down as RB36. Like he just had a really good year. We don't know what team he's going to go to and stuff like that, which I understand. But like, there's going to be buy low opportunities for those running backs, those older guys. Jalen Wright is an interesting one, the Miami rookie. Miami always used 2 running backs until this last year, and then they just stopped for whatever reason. But I think Jalen Wright fits that. He fits that system like perfectly. That zone run scheme. He's fast. He kind of hit the hole. Like he could be like a sneaky, kind of like what Mostert and Achane were in 2023 together. Got Chase Brown, KJ in 2026 and 26 third for my 25 second and Kamani Vidal. Wow.
Yeah, he has been busy.
Traded Amari and for Addison and the 209. Okay, that's good. Then traded 209 for Pittman. Okay. Traded Keenan and Jalen Warren for T-Law. That's okay. And then traded Najee for JMO and a 27 third. Yeah, I mean, you have been busy, and it might, like, if you're talking about, it seems like it's going to be hard to get one of these top assets off these guys. So it is going to be targeting maybe those other guys, and again, not worrying about overpaying a little bit for guys that you can see have a top 12 season. Is it a guarantee? No, but that's the risk. But we can almost, like, I'd be very shocked, like, if Jameson Williams was a top 12 receiver next year, or Jalen McMillan. Addison maybe, just because there's that injury upside. Garrett Wilson, who knows? So obviously you can always contact us on the Discord and ask us, like, specific trades. But the moral is you want top 7 players. Don't mind overpaying, even though it seems like an overpay, just because, again, this is there's only 80 guys being started. So if you have 4 of them that are in the top 20 of those 80 players, like, you're going to be winning most weeks with those 4 guys.
Yeah. I think something you just said there is kind of important to kind of point out. Like, not all these receivers have the same potential. Like I'm thinking about, like, these wide receiver 2s, like on their team. I mean, they don't have the same potential to step into the role as others, and trying to recognize who those guys are, that might be helpful. Like, think about, like, when Mike Evans got hurt. It's not like Jalen McMillan became the dude, kind of a thing. But because you just mentioned Addison, like, the injury upside for him, like, Addison can step into that role. Like, he won't be Justin Jefferson, but he has a big uptick in production. T. Higgins is another guy. It's like, he's not going to be Jamar Chase, but he can be, 80-90% of that. Like, so these are guys that you kind of want to, like, think about. So Jameson Williams is a good example of not that. If St. Brown gets hurt in front of him, they just play such different roles. It's not like Jameson Williams becomes 80% of Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah.
And I know you kind of pointed that out during the season, like with running backs and stuff. It's like, it's not always the next guy up, because it really matters their role.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And again, like, and the philosophy of, like, trading a lot to get one guy is also, like, if you're consistently starting Jameson Williams, it probably means you're not going to win. And so, like, the difference between Jameson Williams and then, like, Jawan Jennings last year probably wasn't anything. So it's like, it's either you lose with these guys or you lose with someone else, kind of. So, again, can those guys be good supplemental auxiliary pieces if you have a couple of the big guys? Yeah, absolutely. So, real quick, quarterback, and then we'll have to get on to the next team. But I know it sounds gross, but, like, Anthony Richardson still has the potential, in my opinion, to be that difference maker, and he's super cheap right now. And again, so 1 quarterback league, so, like, you're not banking on him, you're not depending on him. I'm not telling you to sell, buy high on him at all. But if you can somehow, get him on your team, because, again, you go back to that warp tool, and I'm going to share it here, and, like, all these guys from, like, Jared, like, look how Jared Goff was 0.1 warp, like, he was literally equivalent to, between Austin Eckler and Brian Robinson. Like, it's either like, okay, I have the outlier, or I'm just starting with, like, everyone else is starting kind of in this group. Obviously, if you don't have the outlier, you want this tier here, which I think Caleb can get to. So, yeah. I don't know.
And actually,
you can get it for a third, absolutely.
Richardson's actually a good target too, because he is on that team that's garbage. Now that's the only other quarterback he has besides Herbert. So if you really want to try and get it done, again, this is where the overspend comes in. If you really think you can get him for like a third, I would throw in Rattler or Bryce Young. Just do that to get it done. And it might not seem like the good deal, but the point is, when are you ever starting Bryce Young over Caleb or Trevor? As of right now, could it happen? Yeah, but I just don't see that as like practical.
I'd do it straight. I would just, if he would take Bryce Young and give me Anthony Richardson, I would do it just because like you can find, if it doesn't work out with Anthony Richardson, there's going to be 10 other Bryce Youngs in that big giant bucket of guys. So like in the end, it's like, all right, I probably lose this trade. There's like a 75% chance you lose that trade in terms of just like who produces more. But you could easily replace Bryce Young. And if Anthony Richardson, if that 20% or whatever hits, you're going to have one of those outliers. So, Caleb was X. He wasn't good. But we're banking on Caleb being better. There's a reason why Ben Johnson took that job, even though he's in a tough division. Like, Caleb's going to be fine, in my opinion. And he rushed for like 500 yards as well, which is like sneaky good.
So, watch, if you haven't already, David, watch the rookie review on quarterbacks, because we talk about Caleb in there, and you'll get Mike's full breakdown there, which is probably the best thing to do. Caleb? And you can just watch that part if you want.
This Caleb here. Negative. Oh God. I can't even find him. Yeah. I still think Caleb's going to be very good. Like, he has the tools. He just needs to learn not to hold the ball and other stuff. So, yeah. But yeah, that's, and of course, you can always contact us there, David, and let us know about specific trades. But hopefully we helped just a bit, and we're here for you when you do have those trades. But the role, if you're here, we are going to be getting into your team. Real quick, guys, if you're watching, like and subscribe to the channel, like the video for sure, gets more eyes on it. If you want your own team reviewed, join our Discord here. And, there's a channel there that says team review. Just leave a comment, a GIF, a GIF, whatever you want to call it. We'll set that up, and we'll do some other fun stuff as well. We're building a little bit of a community there. I think we got 25, 30-ish people in there now. So, but
I really want to join.
Yeah, you guys need to join real quick. I want to highlight real quick again, the wide receiver 1, Jamar Chase, 1.86 warp in this shallower league to the wide receiver 24, 0.39 Cooper Kupp. So a win and a half better. And then compare it to what we're going to see here, which, again, this is the Rolls team. This is start 20. It's only 18, but it's start 20. He's literally starting. There's 80 more players being started than David's league. And you can see why now depth matters. We don't care so much. Obviously, we want Jamar Chase and Saquon Barkley, but we need depth. You can't just I'll scroll down on those real quick, David, for you. They only show 5 lead breakers. Again, that just plays into the you need the top tier guys to win. Like, these are the guys that are winning it for you. The elite guys. Yeah, Dynasty Daddy, by the way, is free. This website, you just go in there, you enter your league ID, sleeper ID, and you get all this stuff. It's a really good site, and it's free. So, but only 5 lead breakers: Jamar, Saquon, Gibbs, Bijan, Derrick Henry. And again, these are based off of what they did last year, so it's not predictive. So that's important to keep in mind there. But you kind of see it here with the deeper league here. So now you have Jamar Chase 1.81 versus the wide receiver 24, which looks like Tyreek Hill, Addison. So it's about what is that? 7.7 warp. So you see the huge difference, right? The other shallower league, it was a win and a half difference. Here, it's about not even, it's about 75% of a win, essentially. So we need depth in this league. Again, this is an 8-team start 20. It's a 2 quarterback and a super flex, so you can start 3 quarterbacks. It's PPR and it's 0.25 per carry. So running backs are king in this league. Running backs and quarterbacks are king. So I think in a normal year, maybe when running backs aren't as good, this is a little bit closer, but we need running backs and we need quarterbacks here. So just keep that in mind. And you also see the top guys are not as valuable in this league. Again, I'm going to just use David's one more time. Saquon Barkley, or the top guy in this league, was worth 1.86 warp. The top guy in the Rolls League is worth 1.51 warp. So, a significant difference there. That just, again, depth matters. So let's get into the Rolls team. Let me find where I have his. There it is. And overall, how are we feeling here? We can start 3 quarterbacks. Dad, Caleb, Jordan Love, J.J. McCarthy, Anthony Richardson. How do you like that quarterback room?
Yeah, not bad.
Potential. That's what comes
There's
to
your
mind.
boy, A. Rich. McCarthy, we don't – I don't think McCarthy's going to be a huge fantasy point getter, but he'll be okay. That's just prediction, knowing what he did at Michigan. And but Caleb, Jordan Love, real good.
Yeah, a lot of potential there for sure. Running backs, he has Breece Hall, Jonathan Taylor, Kenneth Walker, Joe Mixon. Even guys like Swift and Javonte are going to be starters in this type of league. What do you think about that running back room, Brian, knowing that running backs are the most valuable position?
Yeah, I like it, honestly. Obviously, not super excited about Javonte, but everyone above him, including even Swift, in this league, I think that's all really good. What's that?
I was just thinking that Kenneth Walker, when that guy plays, he's pretty good. That problem is there's a lot of injuries there, so I bet you. And Jonathan Taylor had missed at least 2 to 3 games.
Yeah,
I bet you that hurt a little bit.
Yeah,
is this team owner in listening?
He hasn't messaged, but he might be.
Okay.
Just for reference, Kenneth Walker was the RB21 in this league. He was more valuable than Terry McLaurin, JSN, Garrett Wilson, so the wide receiver 7 and down.
Yeah, just think about what those guys did. And no, this is not IDP, Peter. That is crazy. But it's only 8 teams, but it's still start 20 is crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. So he's basically starting Caleb, Jordan Love, A. Richard McCarthy, Breece Hall, JT, Joe Mixon, Kenneth Walker, Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, DK Metcalf, Roma Dunze, probably Josh Downs, Goddard, and Theo Johnson, because you have to start 2 tight ends. And then he has guys like Swift, Javonte, Leggett, Quentin Johnston, AD Mitchell, Cedric Tillman are kind of the flex spots. One thing I noticed there is I want to be starting as many running backs as possible. So if I can start, looks like 9 potentially running backs. He said it shows only a start 19 on this website, but he said it's start 20. So I might be missing a flex there. But anyways, I want more running backs. Again, just the RB, Ramondre Stevenson was more valuable than Jackson Smith and Jigba in this league. That's how bad, that's how, the running back, that 0.25 per carry, man, just really makes a difference.
A lot of these guys aren't even playing a full season either.
Yeah. So, overall, it's a good team. You can see they have them kind of in the top half area. Oh, by the way, tight ends really don't mean anything. Brock Bowers was the tight end 1, and he was basically equivalent to like J.K. Dobbins. So he doesn't really have any tight ends to sell high on. So I think he's kind of doing it right in that sense. Here it's all about tiering down. Like here's where you want to tier down and pick up starters, because again, the difference, there's just so much more value in the depth here, right? Bo Sox is here. At least starting 20, you could have 20% of your roster not have a good game. You still might win. Yeah. Compared to start 9 and you have 2 or 3 guys tank and you're done. Exactly. So, and that's where it comes in. Like you want the depth to where like you have 15 of the 20 guys who are, really good, even if you don't have a Jamar Chase or Saquon, and you're probably still going to win, for that reason. So it's really nice. We did these two together just to kind of see how league settings really does change things. So it's all about tiering down here, and the role is really smart. I think he makes content himself. So he knows what he's doing and stuff. But to me, anyone's on the table to tier down from. Breece Hall, Jamar Chase. As long as I can I don't want to go too far, like Jamar Chase to Puka and another starter, you win that. Doesn't have any picks. So he's solid all around. Like, again, his flexors are going to be guys like Swift, Javonte, which actually aren't that bad. But then like Leggett, Quentin Johnston, like can we improve a couple of those flex guys, preferably with running backs. So is there anyone to target? I mean, trust the process. We have a trust the process guy here.
Yeah.
Lozano. Go ahead.
Yeah. He's a great one to target. He's got James Cook and Tony Pollard. Like I would send a trade like to try and get and this might not happen. Obviously, you might have to sweeten the pot a bit, but try and get Brian Thomas and James Cook for Chase. Mm-hmm. It just might be it might be nice enough for him, kind of a thing.
Yeah. We don't know how this league, if they realize like you need depth, I'm sure they do. If you're starting 20, so, and by the way, where you want to do these type of moves, because I know a lot of people, not many people play in start 20s. It's any 12 team league where you're starting, like once you start getting into start 11, 12 area, that's when you want depth, the depth, the same kind of philosophy plays here. This is obviously just more extreme to that area. But yeah, I mean, even just trying to get a Cook and Pollard, like potentially, like, could you trade one of your quarterbacks, maybe get back a couple starters? I know you start 3 quarterbacks, so you don't want to leave yourself too thin there. You have 4 guys. Maybe the problem is there's a lot of potential, but with potential, that means like there's a lot of like you don't have anything, So, who else is a good?
Well, it's funny. I'm just looking at like Jamar Chase isn't even considered a league breaker in this format. He's like right below that.
It's running backs,
and
right?
Then, yeah, it's all running backs. It's all running backs and a few of the top quarterbacks, and Justin Jefferson doesn't show up until, I'm not going to count, but it looks about like 20th on the list.
Yeah.
Like he's way down there.
Yeah, that's why I actually did want to point that out, because like you're always going to get the outlier guys, but like the wide receiver 2 in this league, again, was RB 15. So, like on top of like tearing down and getting starters, like especially with these receivers, the receivers seem to be kind of what you want to tear down from. Who else does he have? I for some reason stopped sharing. Who else does he have receiver wise? The Dunze, Waddle. Yeah, I don't know if Chase is the big one to me, because receivers are not as valuable. Even again, that amazing season by Chase, like he wasn't even. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys better than him. 5 or 6 guys better than him last year in this league, and they're basically all running backs and Lamar.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, definitely Chase is the big one. It sucks that some of your other nice pieces that I'd be willing to tear down from didn't have great years, like
Yeah.
even tearing down from Caleb, you know, like I think that's a good move, but you got to find the right team there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it might be the
you're
the
right.
guy at the very bottom, Casey Carroll. You know, he's got Darnold, Stafford, and Cooper Rush.
Mhm.
So, you know, but I don't believe this starter rank anymore. I'm just going to kind of breeze past that. Like, but I mean, he's got a
Well,
lot of older players on it.
yeah.
On his
Yeah, I was
team.
just gonna say because he has like Saquon and Derrick Henry. I think the starter rank I figure if they take into account like the league settings or if it's more based off of I think it's based off of the keep trade cut rankings. So that's why
Yeah.
you'll see like starter rank 1, but they're a fraud because that kind of tells you. I would see, yeah, Casey Carroll, like if he's trying to kind of rebuild because he has 2 quarterbacks and you potentially can start 3. One of them is, you know, every year they talk about retiring, and the other one we don't even know where he's going to go in Darnold. Like, can you get a Saquon? Really, Saquon is what I want. Even Derrick Henry, I'd take Aaron Jones potentially, but I would need more. So like one of those top 3 running backs for sure, and they're all older. So I think that's a good potential.
I think
get him a quarterback.
Yeah, even maybe a few of these older receivers with Evans, Adams, Cup. We know they're not as valuable, but they're starters.
Yeah,
you know, which is the important part, and I would assume attainable.
Yeah. No, I agree there for sure. Yeah, I mean it's pretty straightforward in what we want to do. Like Chase is the big one to me. Like I'm moving off of Chase and I'm getting, again, don't want to go too far, but if I'm getting 2 to 3 starters for Chase, like you're winning that, especially if they're running backs, you know. And I think you can get it done potentially because I would assume Chase is viewed as like one of the most valuable piece, kind of, you know.
You know what I just noticed right now is nobody has 25 picks. So maybe he does have draft capital because no one has a listed 25 pick, or they're just not. That's weird.
Maybe it hasn't populated yet or something.
But you
That
can
is
see
weird.
the other ones. Yeah, I don't know. It's maybe they forgot to put picks in. I have no idea. Damn it, the roll. This is the first time you're not here and to explain this shit to us.
Yeah. That is weird.
I feel like he's been asking us for a month to review his team.
I'm saying, does it show it? Yeah, it doesn't show it in keep trade cut either. That is kind of weird.
Yeah. So because what pointed it out to me was Casey Carroll doesn't have any picks. And I was like, wait, who has all the picks? And nobody. So
yeah,
I don't know.
I was gonna say, did they like just do their startup, but there's no rookies in there?
But there should be 25 picks.
I'm just saying, if they did a startup and then like they added the rookies into it. So I was just quickly looking if any rookies like JNT was in here or something. But yeah, that's weird.
I don't know. There's a bunch of, it shows that they ran waivers and made trades and stuff. So it definitely seems like they played it out. I mean, they have standings. No, they're all 0-0, but it looks like it's already been pushed into next year. So
yeah, that is strange. I wonder where those 25 picks are. I'll have to ask them in a message, but yeah, it's basically like anything that's where, like you said, it's tough because like outside of Jamar Chase, all the guys are not quite at their peak of where they could be in value. Like Caleb, I think you can go higher. Jordan Love, McCarthy, Richardson, Breece Hall, Jonathan Taylor's probably at his peak, so I don't mind tearing down from him. But I really need a running back in return and not too far down the list, plus another starter. Mix in.
That's what makes me think Carroll is a good one to target. And then who's this trust? Oh, and then trust the process. Oh, no, sorry. That's his ranking.
Lozano.
It's Junior Lozano.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, he's got some players. You know, he's got Pollard and Cook, Ramondre. Like, Cook's probably, well, not probably. He's the most expensive guy there. It's like getting all three of those guys would be huge.
Yeah. And by the way,
So-
Cook was more valuable than all receivers but Chase. So, if they're not up to date on this, on how valuable the running backs are, like really take advantage of that. Because again, like wide receiver 2 is RB15, and I didn't look at the historical, but I'm pretty sure that's going to line up maybe slightly closer to like the RB12, the wide receiver 2, but I'm going to assume it kind of lines up historically as well. So, yeah, I mean, what else do we have?
I don't know. I think that's it. I just I joined Discord while we were sitting here.
Oh, nice.
Sorry, I downloaded it. I didn't. I didn't actually join it. So
yeah, waiver wire. Not much there. I mean, maybe Sincere McCormick you want to throw on your team. Any RB like on the rosters, RB3s even. You probably want.
It's Sincere McCormick. Yeah, Kenneth Gainwell. He shouldn't be on waivers in this league.
Probably not. Where do you think? Let's see where he was. Here, Kenneth Gainwell. I don't even know if he's going to show up, to be honest.
Oh, hey, Mike Gesicki. Oh, wait, tight ends don't matter in this one.
Not really.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, they just said Eric All's not going to play all next year.
Did they?
Really?
Yeah. I saw that today.
What kind of injuries he got?
Deep Dynasty.
They said he's going to require a second surgery.
Wow.
So
deep Dynasty stash Tanner McLaughlin. He's a tight end. They actually drafted him this last year because I think Gesicki's a free agent as well. I think like all their tight ends are free agents for the Bengals.
Yeah, Gesicki came through for them a few times. They should just give him another like $5 million or something for the next year.
Yeah, I think it's Gesicki, Sample, and Hudson, who are their top 3. I think are all free agents. So Tanner McLaughlin, he was a rookie last year. Super deep dynasty stash, which, in a league like this, maybe. Did I miss anything? I'm just double checking if the scoring settings and stuff. Yeah. 6 point per passing touchdown. Okay. But yeah, I mean, it's a good team. It can definitely compete. It's just, I want to fill out those flex spots a little bit more.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we're done there.
Yeah.
Again, if you guys want your teams reviewed, if you have multiple teams, which I know a lot of you D-gens watching do, like us, we'll do it. Rookie mock drafts we want to be doing. So, I mean, if there's enough of you in here that want to do one now, I'll let these 2 go and I'll do one with you guys. But a rookie mock draft. But I want at least like half the spots filled if we're going to do that. Any questions? Drop them in now. We'll be live again. I might go live tomorrow, but for sure Saturday morning. But we still have, 7, 8, 9 people watching. So any questions, trade stuff, drop it in now. And again, what do we got? Cool. I just got a message saying I have another team. So from someone we already did, but yeah, we're going to get a startup going probably March-ish. I'll start putting out feelers for that. Rookie scouting going on. I heard something. Oh, Senior Bowl. There was Tez Johnson, 156 pounds. That's kind of crazy. He's one of the wide receiver prospects. But 156 pounds. I don't know if I've ever heard of a wide receiver being 156 pounds.
We think 175 is obnoxious,
Small. And that's what it was for like Tank Dell.
Yeah. There was a couple guys there in that draft that were light in the loafers, but
yeah, we're definitely going to be getting the viewer leagues going. We'll see. Probably one for sure, maybe two if we have enough. I know this is kind of like the dead period. When we start getting closer to draft time, we get more eyes in general. Yeah, I saw that, Peter. Definitely gonna do that. We'll probably do it Saturday, to be honest. I think we have a spot open for that. So have a couple other guys there. So would love to do that. Hopefully you got your stud receiver. Yeah, Bo Soxer made a trade.
Yeah,
What
it's right
was it?
there. It's like 2
Oh,
comments
okay.
up.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, you traded Love and Deontay in 2026 third for Marvin Harrison, the 203. So I thought that was a good gamble. Oh, it was a good gamble. I forget who else he had at quarterback, but I think it's a
He
good
had
gamble.
Bo Nix
Mhm.
and Stroud. He had 4 quarterbacks, I think. I think I'm thinking of the right team.
Yeah. Anyways, like Marvin Harrison, I think they just got to use him right. Did they fire their offensive coordinator? I hope they did. I don't think they did
Who?
though.
Who?
Cardinals. Yeah, Daniels, Nixon, Stroud. Yeah, he has. Yeah, that was a good trade for sure. He has Daniels, Nixon, Stroud. He'll be fine with those guys. Yeah, Peter. I don't know if you're referring to the team review or something else, but yeah, your team review will be Saturday. And again, like I want to do rookie mock drafts. We had one. I did one Monday. We only had a couple people in there with me, but I want to get at least half of it filled. Ideally, 12 spots filled, so we can. You don't just hear my opinion all the time. So maybe we'll do one tomorrow, potentially. But yeah, that was a good trade to get Marvin. And you got to gamble. Definitely got to gamble sometimes. But yeah, any last words? Thoughts? Go Saquon? Are we just cheering for Saquon in the Super Bowl, or like I like Jalen Hurts too? So
AJ Brown.
I know people hate the Eagles. I don't really have a lot of like our
Well, their
obnoxious
fans are assholes. I mean,
yeah, but like I'm saying for us, our obnoxious fan base is the Raiders on the West Coast. So like we hate the Raiders but we don't have many interactions with Philly fans. So it's like I want the Eagles to win.
the Lions have to play both the Eagles and the Chiefs on the road next year.
Yeah, they got their new offensive coordinator.
Yeah, some clown.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I know people are like down, like the Super Bowl is gonna. I think it could be a really good game. So, if the Chiefs kind of put up points like they did this last week, or and the Eagles and Jalen Hurts, and yeah, go Saquon, go Jalen Hurts. I like AJ Brown too. So I'm an Eagles fan now. I'm gonna get my first Super Bowl.
Someone clipped that.
That's how it works, right? You just hop on the team But anyways, we'll be back maybe tomorrow, probably tomorrow. I'm going to go live. And then us three, Saturday morning, we're going to be doing a couple more teams. Peter, and I believe there's someone else. Maybe we'll do 3 I think there's 3 that we need. So, but appreciate everyone. Like the video. If you're watching on replay, join the Discord and join us in the next live show. So we will see you all in the next live show Saturday.